Hello, this is Mr. Rasmussen with Algebra 1, Lesson 108. And in this lesson here, we're going to get back to our square roots, and we can use a square in conjunction with a square root actually to cancel it out of the equation and continue to solve. So a reminder here, if we have the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, that's the same as 2. And another way to write that would be a square root of 2 squared. Okay, and it doesn't matter, whatever it is, this squared is going to cancel out the square root. So if we had x squared plus 5 and square root of all that, if we were to square that, then basically the squared and the square root cancel each other out and just what's inside is left. Okay, so you can see how we're going to use that to solve this equation here. Let's look at example 1. So in example 1, now we can't do it if it's connected. See, the 3 is not underneath the square root. Our first step here is to get everything under the square root by itself on that side of the equation. So we're going to move the 3 over. So if we subtract the 3 from both sides, then we get this. Okay? Then we can now square both sides. Okay? And in doing so, this square root will go away. So we're left with x minus 2, the squared and the square root cancel each other out, and then over here, this squared is by the negative 3. It's the whole side, so we gotta put parentheses there. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. And then pretty simple here, add 2 to both sides. X is equal to, oh, I subtracted it. All right, x is equal to 11. All right, then with these though, these can be tricky. We got to put that back in and solve and make sure it actually is true, because these can give us answers, but they're not. They're false answers. Okay, so let's put that back in there. We get the square root of 11 minus 2 plus 3 equals 0. All right, so 11 minus 2 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. Let's see here. Yeah, so we see this one. 3 plus 3 is 6 equals 0. This is not true. Therefore, this one is an empty set, or no solution for this equation. Okay, so you can see in your book there, you would write an answer as empty set as an answer because it doesn't work, or you can put this symbol here. The 0 with the line through it is the symbol for empty set. Okay, let's work through another one of these. Let's look at example 2. Once again, let's get it by itself. So square root of x minus 2, we're going to add 6 to both sides and to move it over. All right, then we can square this. That means that x minus 2 by itself equals 6 times 6, which is 36, plus 2 looks like I get an answer of 38. All right, let's check that answer for correctness. 38 minus 2 and the square root minus 6 equals 0. All right, 38 minus 2 is 36. Square root of 36 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0, so 0 equals 0. That is correct. This is a valid answer. Okay, you can look at example 3 yourself there. And see how they work through that. You actually get 2 answers for that one. I'm going to jump to example 4. We also get 2 answers for this one, and see how this works. So now here we've got 2 terms. We've got to move those both over. So I'm going to add a 3 and subtract an x. So square root of x minus 1 is equal to now 3 minus x. I've moved both of those over to get this by itself. And then I'm going to square both sides. I've got to put parentheses around this because the square root is this together. So that cancels here. I get x minus 1. Over here, though, with the squared, it's actually looking like this. It's 3 minus x times 3 minus x. So multiply that out. I get 9, and then minus 3x, and then plus x squared. All right, these combine, 9 minus 6x plus x squared. And there we go. So a little more complicated because I got to multiply those out. All right, let's seek to get We've got to work to get x by itself. Let's add a 1 to both sides. There we go. Gives me a 10 there. Let's rewrite this in descending order. Actually, I'm going to move an x over as well, minus x, so negative 7x. Let's write this in descending order. So I have a 0 over here now. X squared is my highest term, minus 7x plus 10. So once I get to this point, you might get stuck and be like, what do I do with that? Well, if you can remember, here we got a trinomial. If we can see about factoring that into two binomials. So let's see what we can do here. We get an x and an x. Two numbers that multiply together give us 10, but when added give us negative 7. We got negative 2 and negative 5. Okay, multiply together, that works. Okay, so then I can split those. Remember, I'm going to compare x minus 2 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. And then I can get my two answers, x equals 2. Add 5 to both sides, x equals 5. Okay, so I have two answers now, and we need to put those back in to check to see if they work. So let's start with the 2. The square root of 2 minus 1 minus 3 plus 2 equals 0. So 2 minus 1 is 1. Square root of 1 is 1. Finish this out. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2, 0. All right, this one works. 2 is a valid answer. Let's look at the 5. We have the square root of 5 minus 1 minus 3 plus 5 equals 0. All right, let's combine these now. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. All right, 5 minus 1 gives me 4. Square root of 4 is 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4 equals 0. That one does not work. So my only answer for example 4 is positive 2. Okay, go ahead and do the practice problems and then check your work with my work. I'm going to do them now so that you have them to compare to. All right, first step is to move the 3 over. So I'm going to get x minus 6 equals 3. I'm going to square both sides. So x minus 6 now is equal to 9 plus 9 plus 9. Looks like x is going to be equal to 15. Let's put it back in to check it. Square root of 15 minus 6 minus 3 equals 0. 15 minus 6 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 minus 3. That one does work. This is a valid answer. And it's going to check that with my work here. Yep, there we go. Okay, second one here. Once you see two terms over here, then we know we got to move both of them over. And then we're going to get two answers because, then you're going to be multiplying that by itself. But anyway, let's work through this. All right, let's move both of those over. Get the square root of x minus 6 is going to be equal to 6 minus x. And then we're going to square both sides. So that's going to look like that. That gets canceled out. X minus 6 is going to be equal to, let's see, 36 minus 6x minus 6x plus x squared. So it's going to be equal to 36 minus 12x plus x squared. Let's combine some things. Let's subtract an x, so negative 13x plus 6 looks like 42. All right, so let's rewrite this here. 0 is going to be equal to x squared, put it in descending order, minus 13x plus 42. All right, can we factor that? We should be able to. All right, two numbers when multiplied together give me 42, and when added give me 13. All right, let's, we're going with negative 6 and negative 7. Negative times negative make it positive. There we go, added. All right, we've got it. Okay, then we can separate those out. X minus 6 equals 0 and x minus 7 equals 0. So we're going to add x equals 6 and x equals 7. All right, we got to check those, see if they work. All right, let's put the 6 back in. 6 minus 6, square root minus 6 plus 6 equals 0. All right, the square roots, 6 minus 6 gives me a square root of 0, which is 0. So negative 6 plus 6, 0 equals 0. This is a valid answer. 6 is correct. Let's put in the 7. Square root of 7 minus 6 plus 7 equals 0. All right, 7 minus 6 gives me 1. Square root of 1 is 1. So let's see if this works. 1 minus 6 is a negative. Yeah, a negative 5. Negative 5 plus 7 is 2. 2 is not equal to 0. So that answer does not work. It's only a 6. Okay, once again, if I have any issues, feel free to send out a text and I'll get back to you. I'll give you some help. Otherwise, have a great day.